So things like that happen. I mean, it's you could argue that it was, maybe a poor schedule, and maybe they could schedule him on a bigger court. Yes, but again, she's Alex Eala. That's been a talk, and which is understandable. There's some players coming from respective countries, like she's coming from Philippines, which is now a big deal. She's been the biggest ever, tennis player from that country, which is a big country, and there's a big interest.
The recent discussion surrounding Novak Djokovic and rising tennis star Alexandra Eala during the Australian Open has sparked widespread conversation across the tennis world about tournament scheduling, player recognition, and how emerging stars from new regions are treated on the global stage. Alexandra Eala, a young Filipino tennis sensation, has been steadily gaining international attention over the past few years. Trained at the prestigious Rafael Nadal Academy, Eala built her early reputation by dominating the junior circuit and winning major junior titles, including the girls' singles championship at the US Open in 2022. Her achievements quickly made her the most successful tennis player to ever emerge from the Philippines, a country with a population of more than 100 million, but historically limited representation in top-level professional tennis. Because of this, every appearance she makes at a major tournament carries enormous significance, not just for her career, but also for Filipino sports fans around the world who see her as a trailblazer. When she arrived at the Australian Open, expectations were high and interest in her matches was growing rapidly. Fans from the Philippines and from Filipino communities around the world closely followed her progress, and many turned up in person to support her, creating a vibrant and energetic atmosphere around her matches. The situation that drew attention occurred when Eala's match was scheduled on one of the smaller courts at Melbourne Park rather than on a larger stadium court. Grand Slam tournaments, like the Australian Open, feature multiple courts of varying sizes. The main arenas, such as Rod Laver Arena and Margaret Court Arena, can accommodate thousands of spectators, while smaller outer courts are designed for much more modest crowds. Because Eala is still building her ranking on the professional circuit, it is common practice for players in the early stages of their careers to be scheduled on smaller courts during the early rounds of tournaments. However, in Eala's case, the turnout exceeded expectations. Large numbers of fans gathered to watch her play, and the stands quickly filled up. Some spectators reportedly had difficulty finding seats, and the atmosphere around the court became noticeably crowded compared with typical early round matches. This situation quickly caught the attention of tennis observers and media outlets, particularly when one of the sport's most prominent figures commented on it publicly. During a press conference following one of his matches, Novak Djokovic was asked about the crowd that had gathered for Eala's match. Djokovic, widely regarded as one of the greatest tennis players in history with 24 Grand Slam singles titles, has long been known for his willingness to discuss issues affecting the sport. In his response, he acknowledged the impressive level of support Eala was receiving and explained that it was understandable given her background and the pride many Filipino fans feel about her achievements. Djokovic noted that the Philippines is a large country with a passionate fan base, and that when a player from such a nation begins to succeed on the global stage, interest can grow very quickly. He suggested that tournament organizers might have considered scheduling her match on a larger court due to the amount of attention she was drawing. At the same time, Djokovic made it clear that he did not view the situation as a major scandal or a deliberate mistake. Instead, he described it as a good problem for tennis, emphasizing that having too many fans interested in watching a match is ultimately a positive sign for the sport's growth.
Alex a little bit annoyed now. That's the second time that has happened with that same linesman.
Despite Djokovic's balanced explanation, the comments quickly sparked discussion online and among tennis analysts. Some fans interpreted his remarks as subtle criticism of how tournament scheduling decisions are made, arguing that rising stars who attract significant audiences should be given greater visibility. Others defended the organizers, pointing out that scheduling decisions are typically finalized well before matches begin and are based on a combination of factors including rankings, television coverage, and the presence of established stars. Because Eala is still relatively early in her professional career, tournament planners may not have predicted the level of demand her match would generate. This situation illustrates one of the challenges faced by Grand Slam events, predicting which matches will become major attractions. Tennis tournaments schedule dozens of matches each day across multiple courts, and while some feature well-known champions, others involve emerging players whose popularity can suddenly surge. The discussion also reflects broader changes happening within professional tennis. For decades, the sport has been dominated by players from Europe, the United States, and Australia, where tennis has long-standing infrastructure and tradition. However, in recent years, the game has become increasingly global, with successful players emerging from countries that previously had little presence at the highest level. Athletes from nations such as Tunisia, Kazakhstan, China, and the Philippines have begun to gain recognition and build large fan bases. When these players compete, they often bring enthusiastic supporters who view their success as a source of national pride. Alexandra Eala's rise represents exactly this type of global expansion. For Filipino fans, seeing one of their own compete in major tournaments is a historic moment, and their enthusiasm has helped bring new attention to the sport within the region. Another reason Djokovic's comments carried weight is his long history of speaking openly about issues within tennis. Throughout his career, he has frequently addressed topics such as player rights, tournament scheduling, and the structure of professional tours. In 2020, he helped establish the Professional Tennis Players Association, an organization aimed at giving players a stronger collective voice in decisions that affect them. Although his involvement with the organization has evolved over time, his willingness to discuss governance and fairness in tennis has made his opinions influential. When someone with his experience and status comments on a situation, even in a measured and balanced way, fans and media tend to pay close attention. Ultimately, the conversation surrounding Eala's Australian Open appearance highlights how rapidly the landscape of tennis is changing. Young players can quickly capture global attention through strong performances, social media visibility, and passionate national support. When that happens, tournaments sometimes need to adapt in real time to accommodate growing interest. While the scheduling of Eala's match may simply have been a routine decision made before the level of demand became clear, the reaction demonstrates how much excitement she has generated within the sport. For Eala herself, the moment may prove to be a sign of what lies ahead. As she continues to improve and climb the rankings, she is likely to appear more frequently on larger courts and in high-profile matches. The discussion sparked by Djokovic's remarks therefore serves not as a controversy, but as evidence that a new star may be emerging, one capable of bringing millions of new fans into the world of professional tennis.